Hello, hi everyone. Thank you for watching my final doctoral thesis presentation. Starting with the title, Reclaiming Urban Spaces, a pedestrian-oriented multimodal transportation system that implements autonomous vehicles to improve the quality of life in Waikiki. In this image, I want to give you an understanding of the of the existing conditions of Kalakaua Avenue. As you can see, that majority of the street is designated or focused for the automobile, and very little space is designated for human accessibility and walkability. And in the bottom left image, you can see a situation where oftentimes in Kalakaua Avenue, they will host several large events that uh, gather a lot of people together, and in return, this causes several issues with access. So, for example, these emergency vehicle staff won't be able to access hotel rooms or residential units in case of an emergency. And these are just some issues that I noticed that are right in Waikiki, and I wanted to tackle these issues and find a solution. Moving on to transportation use and life quality. This map basically shows the current population and the trends of transportation use. As you can see, 80% of the population commute by car, about 11% commute by public transportation, and 5% commute on foot, and about close to 0% commute by bike. And in the colored image, it shows you in the red areas are an average of 1 hour of commute time from in and out of Waikiki. That shows you how far people need to travel and how long it takes for them to do so. And this image, I'm basically showing you the two major access ways in and out of Waikiki. On the left side being Kalakaua Avenue, and on the right side being Kapahulu Avenue. There's also another street of Ala Moana Boulevard that is an access to Waikiki, but for the study, I wanted to mainly focus on the border that is outlining Kalakaua Avenue and Kapahulu Avenue. And then this shows you the three major streets that are used by automobiles. So on the Makai side, we have Kalakaua Avenue, which is a one-way road, and we have Kuhio Avenue in the middle, which is a two-way road, and then we have Alawai Boulevard, which is a one-way road. This image basically shows you a perspective view of the height variances from commercial and residential properties. As you can see, a large amount is mixed-use properties in the pink. And then I wanted to show you the proposed site's location, which is the block which consists of Hyatt Regency Hotel. The reason I chose this location is because it has a variety of property uses, from commercial units to residential units. This map basically shows you a survey that I did, showing you the circulation paths often used by vehicles as well as pedestrians. The heavier dense lines showing you the automobile circulation, and then the lighter line weights show you the pedestrian movements within the side streets. And then the red circles indicating popular tourist attractions as well as local attractions. And in this image, it's a combined site analysis displaying popular attractions, circulation, and a half-mile radius. Along with this image, you can see some of the options that are provided for the people of Waikiki as means of transportation. So those options include Biki bicycle stops as well as bus stops. And in this image, basically showing the zoning of Waikiki. On the Makai side of Waikiki is mostly designated for commercial properties, and the Mauka side of Waikiki is a mix of residential and vacation rentals. And this image, I wanted to show you a study of parking costs in Waikiki. As you can see, it's very expensive. On an average, person can look to spending about $35 a day. This includes people working in Waikiki as well as people living in Waikiki. And from one of the surveys that I did, I found out that many workers as well as residents often park on the uh, outskirts of Waikiki and walk to their work or to their homes. In this section, it's showing you a longitudinal section of the site that has a mixture of commercial properties as well as a multifamily residential unit. So from the left side, going from Hyatt Regency Hotel to the right side, going to Alawai Boulevard, you can see the height variances and different uses of buildings. So Hawaii's population analysis, looking at this image, you can see that majority of the population in Honolulu, ages range from 20 years old to 65 years old, and the gender pretty well balanced with a slight increase to the female population. And looking at the quarterly tourism forecast, looking at 2018 and 2019, you can see a gradual increase in tourism arrivals in Waikiki, as well as their average expenses that they spend while visiting increases as well. This is a different map that doesn't show that local residents actually are moving out of Waikiki because of the cost of living and cost of housing is much higher than the average income. So how can we improve the quality of life in Waikiki? I wanted to focus on some of the main issues in the area. And one of the issues that I consider is a huge problem is causes of car crashes. And three of the top reasons for car crashes is a recognition error, decision error, and performance error. And Waikiki has a lot of distractions. Research shows that some of the major causes of accidents are distracted drivers and the failure to make quick decisions. So how can we design for a community that is plagued by accidents while encouraging tourists who aren't familiar with the island to catch public transportation? So for me, I wanted to tackle this issue of transportation and how that can create a healthier lifestyle for the neighborhood. And looking at previous architects who tackled these designs of vehicles, I looked at Buckminster Fuller with his Dymaxion car and Norman Foster's back to front car. So I took them as inspiration and I related that to current modes of transportation that are found in Waikiki. So these four images to the right are giving you an idea of what the future may look like, where it could be a two-seater or it could be a 10-seater like the image below. But the idea is that it's a much narrower vessel and it's a much more efficient vessel. So what I wanted to tackle is the future of autonomous vehicles and how I can implement that, combine that with these types of design and create this new mode of transportation system for Waikiki. And looking at AVs, they require less roadway. As a result, it creates opportunities for a healthier lifestyle. It creates a community interaction, and in return, it creates a safer neighborhood. So on the left side, it shows you basically a multi-phase process where you convert parts of the street into these pedestrian-friendly roadways, and then further evolving that into this multimodal transportation system. And then this section is through Kalakaua Avenue, showing you how creating this dense treescape can provide for shaded areas which allow for human gathering and provide comfort for walkability. And this section basically shows you along Kalakaua Avenue the first steps of implementing a dense treescape that can be shared with pedestrians and work as one to create this efficient mode of transportation. And in this first image, it basically shows the current existing treescape. As you can see, there's not much shade provided for people to walk or to gather. And then the proposed treescape with the multimodal transportation system basically shows you the dense treescape that creates a more shaded area which encourages people to walk and gather around. And in this image, scales 1 and 2, basically showing you a shared street, which is basically my idea of a complete street, the first steps of a complete street at least, where autonomous vehicles can be shared with pedestrians, but the street is not so much designed for the vehicle, but it's more designed for the people. And then in scales 2 and 3, you can implement these elevated mode of transportation, which gives a different experience to the people, and in turn gives an opportunity to create green roofs and gathering spaces on these podium-like structures. And in this image, I'm comparing the two vehicle systems, from human-driven vehicles on the left side to the proposed autonomous vehicle. As you can see, the standard vehicle now carries only 5 passengers, and it idles for about 95% of their lifetime. And autonomous vehicles do not require parking, as they can run continuously throughout the day. The extra parking structures, for example, can be a future study for affordable housing units, and AVs are capable of transporting more passengers per vehicle. This image basically gives you an idea of the efficiency levels of autonomous vehicles versus human-driven vehicles, where autonomous vehicles communicate with each other more fluently, creating a more efficient transportation system. A site plan showing you a new street design where there's large shared spaces, encouraging a multimodal transportation system and creating a larger tree canopy for extra shading. A few model images that I created to give you a physical model, a physical understanding of what my concept could look like. And then trying to do a recap of existing conditions and incorporating that with the future conditions. So these are just images of what it looks like now with a large amount of the street designated for the car, converting that into a narrower street for the car and majority of the street for the people. And again, showing you people are forced to share these narrow spaces mixed with walking, as well as using segways, and then converting that to larger space for the people and narrow space for the autonomous vehicles. So going back to the overall issues, want to look at social gathering, the daily commute, as well as the quality of life. So these are just the 3 major issues that I find in Waikiki, and trying to provide a solution that basically gives you an understanding of a possible future for Waikiki. And this final render is giving you an idea of a multimodal transportation system where there are large gathering spaces which allows the residents and the area of Kalakaua Avenue to host these large events, in the meantime not disrupt the accessibility issues of vehicles, because the autonomous vehicle can still be able to move freely within these designated areas. And we can also provide these elevated structures where these gondola-like structures can move freely on an elevated level, giving tourists and locals a different experience. Thank you.